Hey guys, so I'm out here in the beautiful weather. It looks like it's gonna rain, but I want to share a very powerful testimony with you guys. I've been waiting for the right time to do this. But before I get into this testimony, I just want to say viewer discretion is advised. I'm gonna be talking about how I was SA'd and everything that led up to that. I'm also going to be taking accountability for my actions and the things that I was at fault for, right? Because in life, you need to learn how to take accountability, because some of us, we put ourselves in places we know we're not supposed to be, or we do things because they're easier, right? Now, like I said, before I get into this testimony, let me just say I'm Lenny. I'm with the Loyal Link brand. My own specific brand is called Loyal Link, by the way. If you haven't followed me, or if you haven't seen any of my content, I am a truth teller. I speak about a lot of spiritual things, including gang stalking, targeting by secret societies. I reference the Targeted Individual program a lot. Much love and shout out to them and all the victims that are a part of that program and a part of that group. I am also a targeted individual, but I'm not going to be talking about my targeting in this. It has to do with my targeting, but I'm going to be talking about how I was SA'd. And let me get into that. Before I get into that, let me just say also, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is a testimony of me, my experiences, and what happened to me. What happened to me, it's very traumatic. And it took me this long. I'm 28 years old. It took me this long to finally be comfortable and accept everything that's happened and be strong enough to give you guys the full testimony. And you're probably wondering, why would I give you guys this testimony? Well, because of how powerful it is. God is compelling me to share it, and not for anyone else. It's for me. It's for myself to basically maybe help someone else out there that has gone through the same thing and is ashamed, because let me just tell you, after this happened to me, I was very ashamed of myself. I thought there was something wrong with me. I even fought with my sexuality for a long time, because I thought after I got sexually assaulted, in my head, now that happened to me, then I must be bisexual. That was my, I know it doesn't make any sense, but trauma and everything does a very, very dangerous things to your brain, and especially when you're around the abuser that caused it and did the act. It can be very confusing, especially if you looked up to this person, if they were friends, or if they were a close one, a loved one, or someone that was just, you considered a friend and you considered cared about you, or just at least had some sort of dignity and certain lines that they wouldn't cross. It can be very traumatic, and let me just get into it. So I'm going to obviously end it by saying that I was saved. Eventually, all of this led me to the Most High God, and I was saved. But before that, let's talk about where it all started. So where it all started was, like everyone else, I was a sinner. More than others, let's just say. I come from poverty. I come from Section 8, housing, food stamps, foster care system, you name it. I come from the bottom of the bottom. All black neighborhood, violent gang members. I spent most of my life, most of my childhood in the foster care system, and had to run away. So I'd run away from these group homes, foster homes, in order to see my family or my friends, right? Or to live some sort of a normal life, right? And when I was very, very young, I want to add that I was sexually assaulted when I was very, very young by a foster family. It was the father, who was a retired cop. So that happened to me when I was very young, and it left a traumatic imprint on my brain, almost as if when trauma happens to us, it, like, especially at a young age, we tell ourselves that it's normal. Because when our brain's still developing, and when something that traumatic gets done to us, our brain just takes it as, oh, this must be normal. This must be what happens to everybody, right? So when it happens again and again, what do you think you're gonna register it as? Oh, this must happen to everyone, right? I knew it was wrong, right? But when it happened to me again, I was older. something that I never thought in a million years could happen to me happened to me. And I just want to say, listen, I was one of those guys that I'm a grown man. I don't want to ever admit that something like this could happen to me. But let me just tell all the other tough guys out there, it can definitely happen to you. It can 100%, it can happen to anyone. All it takes is for you to be unconscious, and especially in my situation, I was under the influence. I was struggling with substances. I was snorting fentanyl pills, Xanax, Percocets, cocaine, you name it, I was snorting it, right? And mainly I was doing those things because right after my mother passed away. So my mother passed away in a very traumatic way, died in my arms, and that could be very traumatic, obviously. And that's when I started stepping up my substances to block out that pain. But let me start at the beginning, right? I'll get to that. Like I said, I grew up in foster care, and that happened to me when I was younger. When I was 5 years old, I was sexually assaulted for the first time. I never spoke about it. My grandmother always said to my grandfather, she thinks that something happened to me and it affected me, that she always suspected it, right? But she never knew for sure, right? So anyways, fast forward, years later, I age out of the system. I'm about 18 years old, and I'm just now moving back into my mother's house. I'm moving back into my mother's house, and I'm seeing that my family wasn't what I thought it was. I spent most of my childhood running away to my family. Like, running. I wanted to get to my family. My family loved me so much. They were the perfect family in my childhood mind. My child mind, that's what I believed. So when I finally seen that was far from the truth, it broke something again in me, right? Because think about it from my childhood point of view. I was spending most of my years saying, why can't I go home? Why can't I go to my mother's? Why can't I go see my family? I was spending all those years running to get to a family that never gave a shit about me. Yep. I finally moved in with my mother's at 17 years old. I realized she was on drugs. My mother's house, the best way to describe it was a trap house. Parties never stopped. Every single day. Paraphernalia all over the floor. People having sex on the couch, couch in the middle of the living room, right? That was normal. That was just a normal event. Yeah, people screwing on the couch, drugs, bottles of liquor everywhere. Everyone either on something, whether it's weed, alcohol, or even way worse, hard drugs, pills, right? My mother would do anything. She wasn't very picky when it came to that stuff. She would put a bunch of pills in a bowl and just like pick them out and eat them like Skittles. So this is where me and my mother would butt heads a lot, right? I started to act out. I started to get very angry, especially now that I'm 17 years old. I started to get angry and I started to butt heads with my mother. And she started to say, I was the only one she said this. She never said to my brother or anyone else that they had to pay rent, because I didn't give my mother any grandkids. So my older brother and my other family members got special treatment because my older brother gave her grandkids. So he never had to pay rent. They never had to do anything like that, but I did. And I would get kicked out if I didn't give my mother drugs, or if I didn't give my mother money, or just if she was having a bad day, she would kick me out. And now here's where I'd get into trouble and where I'd start to get into the life of crime. Because my drug addict mother would kick me out, and at this time I wasn't on any drugs like that. I drink liquor or smoke weed for my early 20s and 17 years old, but I didn't get on that stuff really like hardcore until my mother died. Let's just say that. I don't really know the exact time, but let's just say around that time, right? So my mother's kicking me out, right? So I'm getting used to being kicked out. I'm getting used to all my stuff being thrown outside in the rain, laptops being ruined, clothes being ruined, all my stuff being ruined. And this was like such a frequent thing. Whenever my mother was having a bad day, a bad high, couldn't get drugs, I would suffer for it. So I had to survive. So what I learned to do to survive was sell the same thing my mother did, right? That's what I learned how to do. I had a lot of people I would see selling drugs, And that's what I learned from. So, okay, this must be normal. This must be what I have to do to get money, right? So that's what I started to do. I started to get kicked out more frequently, and then I started to, by the time I was 18, I started to stay away from my mother's house. I started to rebel. I remember telling every one of my mothers, I said, listen, I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to make a name for myself, and I'm going to put on da-da-da-da-da. I had a whole speech of how I'm going to go out there and just show the world who's who and make a name for myself. And my street name was Schizo. They were calling me Schizo because I was a crazy white boy who would do crazy things in the hood. So they gave me that name, like Skits, right? And that's exactly what I did. Mind you, my whole family laughed at me and they said, yeah, okay, you're not going to do that. But my mother slowly started to realize that's exactly what I did. And she heard it from other people. She didn't hear it from me. When she started to have people go over there, which is the trap house of my mother's, and tell her to her face, like, yeah, your son's fucking crazy. Your son just robbed this drug dealer. Your son just allegedly robbed this drug dealer over here, did this and did that, right? That's what I was doing to survive. I was allegedly robbing drug dealers. I was doing things to bad people, mind you. I was doing things to other gang members, other people that were in the life of crime, other people that were drug dealers, right? And that's how I would survive. So let me get into what eventually happened. What eventually happened is I was getting incarcerated. I was realizing that nobody was really my friend. Everybody was really only around me because it was a free ride. I was giving them free substances, free money, free handouts. And when I got locked up, nobody showed me love. Nobody put money on my books when I got incarcerated for just trying to survive, right? I got incarcerated for assault with a deadly weapon. I got incarcerated for distribution and manufacturing cocaine, and then possession of a firearm, which I ended up beating. I ended up pleading guilty on that. I mean, not guilty on that, sorry. And then many other stuff, and just trying to survive, trying to make money, trying to survive, right? And eventually what happened is when I was 18 years old or 19 years old, I met someone at a gas station. It was a very weird interaction, but I met this creep, right? I'm not going to say the abuser or the actor's name. We're going to call him a bad actor because I don't know, some people like that term. So I'm not going to say the bad actor's name, but I met this bad actor at a gas station. And in my I don't remember if I was 18 or 19 when I met this person. Let's just call it 19 to be safe. Trauma really changes your brain and messes with you. So it's hard to figure out what year and what exact date it happened, which month. But let's just say I met this bad actor. And from my situation, from being kicked out of my mother's house, being in a vulnerable state, drinking a lot now, smoking a lot of weed, in straight fight or flight, having to sell drugs, getting locked up, getting out, having to repeat the same cycle, this bad actor appears and he says, hey, here's $100. So I'm like, wow, did someone just do something nice for me? I didn't know at the time that I was being groomed, right? I didn't know it was really grooming, right? I was just like, wow, my hopes and my dreams finally came true. A good person or a good friend actually exists, right? The person gave me a job, right? I started to notice that the person was lying, right? I started to notice that all the person's stories he said were just make-believe. The person said he was a millionaire and said all these things that a 19-year-old wanted to hear, wanted to believe, right? Like, oh, I could really help you. I could do this for you. And he came off and he told me he was straight, right? He told me all these stories about how he had girls in his car and how they were doing these things to him. And I was like, in my 19-year-old, I'm like, wow, this guy's cool. This guy's awesome, right? And I slowly found out that everything he ever told me was a lie. He was a creep, a weirdo, and yeah, that's just the best way to describe this bad actor. But here's what I did know for sure. What I did know for sure was, yes, this guy was a creep and a weirdo, but I said, I'm getting money from him. So I could use this creep and weirdo, just I got to put up with him. That's what I told myself. And here's when the accountability comes in. The accountability comes in that I put myself around him. I put myself around this person who eventually would introduce me to the same person that sexually assaulted me, right? But that doesn't happen for, I think it's a year, a couple years after. Well, around when my mother died, when I was 25 years old, right? So a couple years after that, I know this person, right? I get very used to this bad actor, right? Met at the gas station. I'm finally convinced. I know he's just a creep. He's a weirdo. He doesn't have any friends, right? He's just like a straight predator, right? But I'm like, I got this under control. He's giving me money. He's giving me rides everywhere. I'm using him like an Uber. I'm still doing what I have to do in the streets to survive. And I'm using this person to basically pick up girls for me and do all this other thing. If I was seeing a new girl, I'd have him pick her up and drive her around and all this other stuff, right? Now let's get to eventually what happened where he introduced me to bad actor number 2, which bad actor number 2, we're going to call him, is bad actor number 2 is the one that sexually assaulted me. This is very hard for me to talk about, guys. I don't really talk about this, but like I said, I want to give my story because this is it. This is it. This is the truth. This is the full truth. And this is my story. This is my testimony. And I don't care, I'm not going to let anybody else tell my story but me. That's what I want. That's what I want to say. And most importantly, I'm doing it for me. And I'm doing it because I want to inspire others to tell their testimony too, especially if this has happened to you, right? So bad actor number 1 introduces me to bad actor number 2, right? I noticed right off the bat, bad actor number 2 is just, he's more normal, right? Or just appears to be more normal. Very quiet. And most importantly, what I noticed is he's got money bags times 100. So I was like, first thing I thought in my head was I could use this sucker. This sucker could be my meal ticket. That's what I thought. I was like, if I can manipulate him well enough, and mind you, I'm not thinking about doing anything. I'm a straight man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I could just use this sucker, tell him what he wants to hear. Maybe say some things, make it look good or something, to give him hope or something, while I'm doing my own thing, while I'm literally in a relationship with my girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? I was with many girls at that time. But eventually that was my plan. But what ended up happening is bad actor number 2, I thought he was a nice guy. So I was like, you know what? This guy is actually doing things that, like, looks like he cares. Like, he was doing things like, took me out on my birthday one time, just doing kind acts, which I didn't know too was grooming. I'm just thinking in my head, I wanted someone so bad to be a friend. Because at that point in my life, I was having everyone betray me. My friends closest to me, I was in a gang too. So I was gangbanging at the time. I was in the street life. I think I just went back to jail, right? And this guy just didn't even ask him or anything. He just starts putting money on my canteen. So just trying to be a good friend, not asking for anything in return, just like saying he wants to be a cool friend. I was like, wow, so he must just be a cool guy, right? He must just be trying to help, right? Or I wanted to believe that. I told myself that, but I'm thinking in my head, nothing comes for free. No one helps anyone without some sort of hidden intentions. But like I said, guys, I was at a desperate time in my life, especially when I was incarcerated. Bad actor number 1 was nowhere to be found. He was gone. I feel like bad actor number 1 gave me to bad actor number 2. Kind of like there was like a deal or something to going down. Like, hey, you want this kid? Yeah, maybe I don't want to know what was planned or schemed behind closed doors, but I could only imagine because these people are sickos. I eventually learned the horrifying truth of how these people were pedophiles and just sickos and just disgusting people. So bad actor number 2 helps me when I was incarcerated. I get out and I feel like I'm messing up my own plan. I'm messing up. Let's just say that. I'm so desperate for a friend. I'm forgetting that I was just using bad actor number 2 as just like I was using bad actor number 1 for money. Again, accountability, my fault, right? So I start to treat him like a friend. I'm like, hey, you want to hang out? I'm thinking like, hey, maybe like it'll be good to have a friend in my corner, just in case if I ever go to jail again, or in case I ever need a friend, someone to talk to. Maybe this one could really be my friend, right? Maybe I could trust this person. I was sadly mistaken. Everything I ever said was used against me. Everything was just like done behind closed scenes. And most importantly, bad actor 2, I realized was dangerous. Very dangerous. Not in the sense of physical danger, but in the sense of very narcissistic, psychopathic, manipulative, controlling, right? It's quite obvious that I was using the old bastard for money, right? Anybody could know that, right? Bad actor number 2 must have got really upset about that and tried to take precautions and measures to ruin my life or control my life. Smear campaigns were started. Things were being spread about me that just never happened. And this was slowly starting to happen, like, because I was using this bad actor number 2 for his money, right? So he wanted to spin it like there was something going on, like there was something that was going on that wasn't. And I didn't know all this. I didn't find all this till later on, like probably like released recently, like within like the last year or two. But let me go into eventually what happened. Eventually what happened, I'm starting to treat him like a friend, right? I'm starting to treat bad actor number 2 as a friend because I'm desperate. My mother's kicking me out of the house. I got no one to rely on. This is like, seems like it's the only person to rely on. And I figure in my head that it's better than selling drugs. Think about this. So I have 2 options. I'm in the streets in fight or flight, right? I know I got to sell drugs. I know I got to live off, do certain things in order to survive. And I got to repeat the same cycle. Go to jail, get out, sell drugs, rob drug dealers. Go to jail, get out, right? Now, I have a second option. I have a second option, which I decided all I got to do is put up with a creep. All I got to do is put up with... Let me talk about actually what happened when I figured out he was a creep, right? So when I got out of jail, sorry if I'm kind of everywhere with the story. I don't really know what a good way is to start and finish, right? So this is when I noticed something was up with bad actor number 2. I get out of jail. He gives me a ride, and I was a little drunk. I was at a party or something, and I asked him if he could come pick me up, right? This is when I seen the first red flag that just any logical person would have just ran, right? They would have just said, okay, I'm out of here. They would have maybe called the police, but you got to understand, I don't think like that. I'm in straight survival. I do what's best to survive, right? So he picks me up. I'm drunk. I get in the car. He keeps saying, he goes, you could go to sleep. He goes, you could put the seat down. I remember him, kept bad actor number 2. He keeps saying that. You can go to sleep. Don't worry. You can close your eyes. It's all right. I'll drive you where you need to go. Keep insisting that I close my eyes and go to sleep. And I was drunk. So I was like, all right, let me go to sleep. And that's when I like woke up, and I vaguely remember waking up and him touching my genitalia. Like touching me. Like diddling me, whatever you want to call it, man. I'm trying to make a joke out of it. There's nothing funny about it. I didn't say anything. I was kind of like so shocked that it was happening, dude. And I was just like, most importantly, let me be honest here. I'm thinking if I say something, then my money is going to get cut off. Meaning I'm now codependent on bad actor number 2. I've been using him for his rides, and I've been using him for his money. And most importantly, he's been helping me out when I go to jail. So I'm like, what if I go to jail tomorrow and I need bad actor number 2? I need to be on his good side. So if I call him out, if I jump up and say, what are you doing, you creep, like I wanted to, punch him in the face, hurt him, maybe do something worse to him, right? Because he's touching my thing. So I just jump up, I wake up really fast, and he's like, oh, you could go back to bed or something, I remember. But yeah, and that just kept happening. It happened maybe 2 or 3 times that I vaguely remember. And bad actor 2 doesn't know I know. He doesn't know that I was awake and I knew what he was doing. But that was the red flag. That right there, when that happened, that should have told me who I was dealing with and what type of predator and person. But like I said, my mind just didn't want to believe it. I couldn't afford, I was in a desperate situation. I couldn't afford to cut him off. I couldn't afford it at that time. I was already like basically vacating the streets at that time. I was giving up the gang stuff. I was giving up the drug dealing. I was basically so tired of that life because it was tiring. It was doing those violent acts and doing all those things and risking my life. I thought in my head, I reasoned that, hey, maybe some creep or some pedophile touching me when I'm asleep or something, that's a lot better than having to kick down drug dealers' doors and I could get shot in the head. That's what I reasoned. It was wrong, but again, accountability. right? Fast forward maybe a year or two later, still pretending to be friends with this guy. It just starts heating up. Like, I'm noticing this guy's like talking like from a delusional standpoint. Like, he's talking like I don't know, like it's a relationship or something. But I was just like, I just fed into it. So I'm just like, all right, bro, like it's like I'm in my head, like I'm just like whatever. So I'm just saying anything at that point. And again, accountability. I'm saying things that I don't feel and I don't believe in. I'm telling him whatever he wants to hear. So if he wants to hear I'm gay, or if he wants to hear this, that's exactly what I'd tell him. So, and that's manipulation 101. At that time, I was in jail. I read the 48 Laws of Power, and I read all these dark psychology and manipulation books. So I was very good at it. I knew how to tell people exactly what they wanted to hear, no matter what it made myself look like. But at that time, I'm thinking I'm lying to an old man. No one's going to find out. I'm thinking that no one in my hood's going to find out. No one's going to find out that I'm just lying and just saying like gay things or disturbing things to an old man. I'm like, it's not like I mean them. I'm just manipulating them. It's just business. That's what I told myself. It's just business. I don't really believe what I'm saying. I'm just saying it because I know it's what this old creep wants to hear, right? And now this is happening. I told you he was, bad actor number 2 was touching me maybe 3 times, let's just say, right? Now, it doesn't escalate until my mother passed away. When my mother passed away, it escalates dramatically, and this is what happened. My mother passed away, I was a wreck. She passed away dramatically. I was just on so many substances. I just named all those substances at once. Sniffing fentanyl. I was basically on a suicide mission, right? And right at that worst time in my life, this bad actor number 2 does the perfect stunt to basically cut me off. This is what they do. They groom you, and then when you get codependent on them, they pick the worst possible time. They cut you off and leave you. You know, probably hoping I would just like, you know, get out of here, right? So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, what can I do? What can I do to make sure he keeps sending me money? Because he was going to be moving to Florida, and I was in Massachusetts at the time. So I was like, oh, what could I do? So I reasoned, I'm like, he said something about hanging out at a hotel, right? So I remember him saying that. Mind you, I'm on fentanyl at this time. My mother just died. I'm not right in my head. I'm like suicidal, homicidal, and I'm on every drug under the sun. Can't even think of proper sentence. Don't know my left foot from my right foot, you know? And I came up with the bright idea. I texted him, again, manipulation. I'm like, hey, you want to hang out at a hotel? And I'm thinking in my mind, hey, I'll just hang out with him. I'll do a bunch of drugs, right? So he's not going to do anything to me or try if he sees me on a bunch of drugs. If he sees I can't walk around, he's probably just going to let me be. I was lying to myself. I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but I was just so... My mother just died. My mother just died in my arms. I was doing drugs to cover up the pain. I wasn't grieving properly. I was in fight or flight, right? I was about to get kicked out of my brother's house, right? So I needed that money. I needed that guarantee, that money to make sure I could live, because I didn't want to go back to selling drugs. I didn't want to go back to selling drugs, and I didn't want to go back to robbing drug dealers. I didn't want to do that anymore, right? So I met up with him. He picked me up, bad actor number 2. He drove me to this hotel or something, Holiday Inn. I don't remember which hotel it was. I was on so many drugs, I can't remember, you know? And it was obvious. It was obvious. He asked me several times. He said, what are you on? You're on something. I know you're on something. I'll drive you home. And it was obvious. I couldn't walk. I was tripping over myself. I was nodding out. I was taking my shirt off and like doing weird stuff with my, you know, just anything an addict would do, right? And this is when the sexual assault happened. And yeah, man, it was traumatic. It messed me up a lot. It really messed with my head. I didn't know what was what. I didn't know what to think. And if you know anything about what happens with your abuser, it's a very weird relationship. I even lived with this abuser afterwards. It's crazy, huh? Weird, huh? How could you live with your abuser? He sexually... Trauma doesn't make any sense. And then again, I'm surviving. So it's like, sometimes you do things you don't want to do to survive, right? just like go to a hotel with the person that I know already touched me in my sleep and already sexually assaulted me once, right? So I don't know what I'm thinking. Let's just say I'm not thinking, because I'm not. I'm on drugs. My mother just died. I'm just thinking about my mother's death. I'm replaying it on repeat over and over and over. I'm sniffing. Now I go to the hotel with him. He's doing whatever he's doing in this hotel. He's laying on the bed pretending not to be just like, I don't know, just pretending to be bored or whatever. I don't know what he was doing. I didn't really care, right? I'm tripping. I'm falling on the floor. When I get that high, I had my ex-girlfriend tell me that I act like a little kid. She said my mind turns into a 12-year-old. She's like, she's seen it. She's like, something that does, she said, when I sniffed fentanyl before, she said it does something to your brain and you're allergic to it. She's like, you start acting like a little kid. Like, she's like, you're like this. She told me one time, I said, hey, look what I can do. Look at me. And I did like a somersault. And I'm like, that sounds like a 6-year-old, you know? So that's this in the state I was at that time when I was in the hotel, right? Not thinking that I could be sexually assaulted when I was unconscious, right? But I went in the bathroom. I did a line of fentanyl. I came out. I passed out. And I think I was overdosing. I don't know for sure. Obviously, I didn't die, but I think I was overdosing. And I was in the type of state where if you seen me, any reasonable, normal person that's sane in the head, if you seen me, you would have said, call 911, we need an ambulance. I think I remember him vaguely saying, should I call an ambulance? But I lost consciousness. And I don't remember exactly what happened to me. I just know it happened to me. I just know I was sexually assaulted. I know things were done to me. I know exactly what was done to me. I'm not going to talk about what was done to me, but you can definitely imagine what a hurt person that's passed out on fentanyl and basically on the verge of overdosing can't really fight, can't really do anything. I'm like probably half dead at that point, you know. But yeah, so that happened to me, and when I woke up, I knew it happened to me, and I was so traumatized. I didn't say a word. I didn't say nothing. I just remember not saying anything, just having a blank, dead stare, looking off in the distance, not saying a thing. I was in shock. I was traumatized. I was in shock. And I get dropped off at my house and I act like nothing ever happened. Acted like nothing ever happened. Mind you, when I was getting drove home, bad actor number 2 did something that was just so horrific. And I was thinking in my head, what the fuck is wrong with you? He shows me pictures of myself when I was passed out sleeping. You know how sick you need? And this is when I realized there was something truly wrong with the bad actor number 2. I realized that this person was truly sick in the head and that there was something seriously wrong with this person, because he showed me pictures of myself naked when I was passed out. I didn't give him permission to take those. I didn't say he could do that. I never said you could do anything to me when I was sleeping. But I'm looking at my naked body on pictures, and he's laughing about it. Laughing like it was funny. So I felt humiliated. My pride was hurt, because in my mind, I'm a tough male that has survived everything. I'm an alpha male that's survived everything under the sun. I've been in alleged shootouts. I've had people try to take my life. I've been to jail. I've beaten up some of the strongest dudes in there. So in my mind, I'm thinking that could never happen to me. But it did. It did. And I'm going to finish up this video in this powerful testimony. I don't know what platform I'm going to put this on yet, but I'm glad I finally got that off my chest, the full testimony. And the Most High God, Christ, knows everything I'm saying in this is the truth and nothing but the truth. Hand on a Bible, cross my heart, on my mother. This is the full truth, and I'm putting this out here, not just for you, but for me, and for anyone else that has ever gone through anything like this. Please know you're not alone. Please know you can reach out to me. You can talk to me. If you ever need an ear, please don't ever unalive yourself because of this happened to you. I thought about it. I thought about ending my life. I was so humiliated. And mind you, now people around me, this person, bad actor number 2, is paying people to say things to me, to call me gay for basically getting sexually assaulted. So I was called gay for getting sexually assaulted. I was made fun of. I was humiliated. That's like someone getting RAPE'd and then you calling them gay and then you making fun of them. How sick. I thought in my head, At that time, I thought I was responsible. I took full accountability for it. I said, you know what? I put myself in that hotel, so I deserved it. I told myself I deserved it. But God helped me to see that I didn't deserve it. The Most High God told me, and he picked me up when I was broken. That's who saved me. The Most High God picked me up when I was in pieces. I was shattered. And guess where I was again? Back in a jail cell. Not too long after my mother passed away, back in a jail cell. That was for the firearm. Back in a jail cell for a firearm. On my knees, pleading, God, if you are real, please show me. And he did show me. He fixed me. He healed me. And now to this day, I have a testimony that is so powerful that I got to give it to you guys. I got to give it to the world and let you know that if God can save me, and if God can basically heal me and allow me to come back from that, and allow me to forgive this person, I have forgiven this person because I understand there's something truly wrong with this person. By the way, I figured out that bad actor number 2 did something to his adoptive son. He adopted a little black boy, and I can only imagine what was going on. If he likes to touch people when they're sleeping, imagine what he did to that little black boy. So, like I said, guys, I'm just glad I shared this testimony. This was very difficult for me to get out, but I'm just glad I did. And God has truly, look at the view. Truly changed my life, truly blessed my life, and has given me a sense of peace and clarity that I've never had before. All right, guys, thank you for hearing my testimony. Please like, share, comment. And like I said, if you know someone that is going through this, or if you even suspect it, please reach out to them, because you don't know what they're thinking. If they're dealing with the same humiliation and the stuff that was going through my head, hit them up, because you're going to regret it if you don't. That's someone's family member. That's someone's son. That's someone's daughter. That's someone's family. That's someone's person that loves them and cares about them. And for you to sit there and take part in going in a group chat and humiliating that person after that happened to them, shame on you. Shame on you. So that's my testimony, guys. I'm Lenny with the Loyal Link brand. Thank you for listening. God bless you. I'm out.